Andrew Abbott or AJ Smith-Shawver? Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, June 6th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White. Let's start off with Andrew Abbott, who made a successful debut up against the Brewers. 6 shutout, 1 hit allowed, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Scott, what did you see in this performance? And is Andrew Abbott a must-add, 51% rostered?
So, I mean, surface level view, it was an amazing debut, right? Giving up only 1 hit in 6 innings, no runs. He did have 4 walks, okay, 6 strikeouts. You can't ask for a much better debut than that. And yet I'm kind of two minds about it, which is true for his minor league stat line too, as amazing as it is. But this debut for Abbott, some things to consider is that he was facing a Brewers lineup that is dead last against left-handed pitchers in terms of OPS and a distant last in terms of strikeout rate. They strike out nearly 30% of the time against left-handed pitchers. And yet Andrew Abbott, strikeouts are supposed to be his strength, right? He is vulnerable to the long ball. He doesn't have like a deep arsenal. It's mostly just a fastball that gets a lot of swings and misses. And yet even against a lineup that struggles to make contact against lefties, he had less than a 10% swinging strike rate. 7 of his whiffs did come on 61% fastballs. That's a 21% whiff rate. If that's your best pitch, I don't know. It's not that great. And he only had 1 swinging strike on his breaking balls, which is supposed to be, his breaking ball is supposed to be his second best pitch. No, it was his debut, and it's possible there were some nerves and maybe he didn't have his very best stuff, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how he fares against tougher lineups and how frequent the home runs are off him. Are they as frequent as they were off him at AAA, 1.9 home runs per 9? Because that might be a problem. And since he doesn't throw especially hard, just what kind of bat misser are we looking at the major league level, as good as it was in the minors? Still, as good of a debut as it was, as good as his minor league numbers are, I'd have to call Andrew Abbott a must-add at this point.
Andrew Abbott was the 3rd most added starting pitcher on CBS this weekend. The name just behind him, AJ Smith-Shawver. Mike Soroka was optioned back to AAA on Monday, and then there was a report that Smith-Shawver could make his first Braves start either Friday or Saturday this weekend. Scott, the numbers in the minors, we referenced them when he got called up. Fantastic stuff. Let's say both Abbott and Smith-Shawver are available. Who would you rather have?
Well, I wasn't willing to commit to an answer here until I saw Abbott's debut, because if he gave up 3 home runs, it might be a different story. But I got to say Abbott after the way his debut went. Of course, AJ Smith-Shawver is not a flawless prospect himself. He might have issues with walks. He does have a more conventional arsenal, the big fastball, good characteristics that should yield swings and misses on that pitch, sort of like Abbott, but with the velocity you'd expect as well. But he's also, he climbed all the way from A-ball to the majors in like a month's time. And this is only his, he's only been pitching since 2020 at any level, high school. So it's a rush job on the Braves' part, and that'll be a difficult hurdle for AJ Smith-Shawver to clear. Worth adding in his own right, but I'd rather have Abbott.
All right, Scott, let's wrap up with 2 Phillies that had breakout games here on Monday. Aaron Nola allowed 3 unearned runs over 7 innings. He actually took a no-hitter into the 7th, 12 strikeouts with 21 swinging strikes. The fastball velocity was up in the start. It's good to see that, and obviously the whiffs, they had been down earlier this season. And Trey Turner had a monster game. He went 4 for 5 with a double dong, 3 runs, 3 RBI, 5 hard hit balls in this game. Scott, anything that you'd like to add on Trey Turner or Aaron Nola? Great games.
Yeah, and I've been pretty optimistic about Aaron Nola, even though, the ERA had been a little high. We've seen that before from him because he can be home run prone. But I think the more concerning aspect of his profile this year was the strikeout rate was down, the swinging strike rate was down. Had he lost something stuff-wise? Well, 3 of his last 4 starts, he's looked like a big bat misser again, like we're used to seeing from Aaron Nola. So I think he's back, and I think you can trust him as an ace going forward. And likewise, I hadn't really lost much faith in Trea Turner. I mean, the track record is what it is. I mean, he's about as consistent of a first round performer as we've seen, and he's still on the right side of 30. May have been pressing a little bit with a new team, particularly when he got off to a slow start. You see that in some of the plate discipline numbers that, maybe he's just forcing it a bit. But hopefully he'll be able to relax with this big game and produce like the first round player we know Trea Turner to be. I expect he will.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.